judged unjustly, he lost everything, but a mysterious chance granted him absolute power. He sacrificed his form for limitless control, and now his reign begins as the strongest man in a new world. Our episode today begins with Shigeo, who speaks about himself. He has a very ugly face, but he is content with this and accepts it with full conviction. I worked as a salesman and I was very good. My only motto is to make the customers smile. I refuse to disappoint others. Naturally, I am not popular with women, but I lived a satisfying life. I was completely satisfied with myself. One day, while I was riding the metro, a big problem happened to me where one of the ladies on the metro screamed and said, "This man touched me. He is harassing me." But he had done nothing of the sort. She assaulted him and made all the people hit him. Not only this, but she took him to court and he was unjustly sentenced to pay a financial fine of 300,000 yen. Things get worse and worse and I was fired from my job, but thank God, perhaps it is for the best and perhaps good lies within evil. About 2 years later, the woman who framed me was arrested. Truly, God does not wrong anyone. That woman had been accused of harassing many men because she could not stand those with ugly faces and bad breath. I used to walk in the street every day, and at one moment I began to weaken greatly. This face, which I was proud of before, now tormented me as if it were a curse. I spent 6 years in great agony, unable to deal with anyone. I exhausted all my savings and my father's money. I was less than an animal. While I was searching the internet, I wished for a new program that would hide me from this world, but I actually found this, and I didn't believe it. I laughed sarcastically and then went back to sleep. At exactly 2 in the morning, I discovered something strange. A private message came to my computer that said, "If you want a new life, please proceed to the next page. Returning will cost you half of your life." I thought it was a virus that had infected the computer, but in truth, it was not. I found my name, my gender, an icon to set my age, and also my appearance. When another icon appeared to set the appearance, I made the age 16 and the appearance 255. For this, they gave me 13,000 extra points because I had lowered my appearance value. But there were additional things. I would lose 10% of my life points if I touched any girl, and my body would be torn apart and I would die if I had sex. With those conditions that I imposed on myself, I gained an additional 100.5 trillion points from that. I remembered that this was a game, but here I actually disappeared? It seems I moved to another world entirely. I got up from my sleep, then passed by the mirror. When I looked in the mirror, I was surprised by my appearance, as if I were a big barrel. Shigeo wakes up from his sleep as he thought he was dreaming. When he looks at himself in the mirror, he finds his appearance is completely different than before. At that moment, these young people enter, and Shigeo is surprised by them as he does not know them. He suspected he had gone to another world, but he tried to deal with them as if he knew them. He then gave the girl clothes to wear. After that, the young man tells him his name is Seiji and that he is supposed to be 16 years old. Then the blue-haired girl also introduces herself. She is called Seika and is also 16 years old. He tells them that he is 16 years old like them, but they do not believe this because he is so huge. Then Seiji directs his words to his friends and asks them if they found what they were looking for on the internet or not. Shigeo did not understand him. Seiji informs him that they also come from another world, but they did not expect to be in this shape. So Shigeo went to look for money to give them, but he did not find anything. He tells them his name. After that, they sit down so he can divide these tools and clothes among them. Indeed, each of them takes what suits them. They are very happy because they have adapted quickly to this world. Seiji tells them that they can divide the clothes among 4, but there are only 7 gold coins and they cannot be divided among 4, so everyone suspects that one of them has taken from these coins. Shigeo understands that he is the reason one of the coins is missing, because when he tried to grab it, it was lost and he couldn't get it. He tells his friends that he doesn't need the money, so they should divide it among themselves. Seiji refuses this, but Seika interrupts him and tells him that they should accept it with gratitude, as they are the ones who found the 7 pieces. Shigeo agrees to this, but asks them to take the axe in exchange for the money. Seika tells him angrily that the decision is not his to make. Seika interrupts her and tells Shigeo that if he continues to please others, he will fail again. He then tells him that he is talking about himself, as he often causes trouble for others because he has problems with communication and acting selfishly. He does not want to be like him, yet Sieka hopes to overcome this in his second life, so he could not overlook seeing the same behavior coming from him. He knows that Shigeo also has communication problems, and they must use this opportunity to overcome that. They then use the game of rock, paper, scissors to distribute the weapons among them, and the staff was Shigeo's share. After they finish dividing the weapons, Seiji asks Shigeo for them to shake hands and begin their mission. Shigeo refuses because he never wants to be hurt in his second life. He wants to live alone, as he sacrificed his appearance to get extraordinary stats. After that, we see Seiji sitting with the girls with the map. He tells them that they will set out from here to the town of Aria, as it is the closest town according to the map. The two girls agree, but Shigeo wants to separate from them on the way there. When they open the door to leave the house, this little monster appears before them. Seiji kills it with a single blow. Suddenly, they find many monsters coming from the forest. This worries everyone, but Seiji asks his friends to stop them, since they have weapons for close combat. While they do that, Seiji then asks Shigeo to give them support, and if something happens, to get him out the back door. He and Shigeo will stop them since they have combat weapons. He asks Shigeo to provide support to Seika. Then Seiji goes to attack the monsters and fight them. After that, Shigeo sees Seika as she tries to hold the bow, saying to himself she immediately chose the bow even though she has no experience in using it. Then this monster attacks Shigeo. He tries to attack it, but it doesn't work, and he says to himself, in the end, my second life is no different from my first because I ran out of time before I finished distributing the extra points. Then, Shigeo attacks the monster with all his power and kills it. He then sees that his level has increased after killing the first monster. Seiji also fights, and his level increases. Then, Rose asks Seika, where do we put our points? Seiji told her, in strength and stamina, of course. Then we go to Shigeo, as he looks at his skills, saying, I will put 1,000,000,000,000 points in each one. We see that Shigeo has increased his energy and power, and he hits the monster with a single finger, throwing it far away. Seiji and Rose continue to kill the monsters, and their skills and levels increase. Then, Shigeo asks Seika to put the string on the bow because I have a bowstring placing syndrome. The bow speaks directly to my brain. You must put the string on the bow. Then he talks to himself that he saw a lot of videos when he was isolated, and his manual dexterity skill points are 1,000,000,005. Shigeo succeeds in adjusting the string on the bow. Then Seika asks him, were you in an archery club? I will let you shoot an arrow. Shigeo takes the arrow from her, saying to himself, I think I will use this to test the skill I acquired after my level increased. He shoots the arrow into the sky. Then a strange thing happens in the sky. A huge serpent comes out of it and kills many of the monsters. Everyone is astonished by this and they ask, what is happening? Seika is very amazed by this immense power of Shigeo's, the likes of which she has never seen before. He is also amazed and tells her, I was in the archery club. And then many enemies arrive. Seika calls on the girl Seika to cover them with her arrows from behind. She shoots many arrows, but none of these arrows hit any of the monsters. Seika despairs greatly from this because she is useless, and she runs out of arrows to no avail. She calls Puchima and runs out of the event. Shigeo gives her many arrows and she tries again, but to no avail. Seiji and Rose finish off the monsters by themselves. After that, they go to the town called Aria. On the way, they find a restaurant that sells hamburgers. They enter the restaurant because they are very hungry, but Shigeo does not go in with them and says they are not bad people, but it is time to say goodbye. He then wanders through the town alone and sits in front of a fountain. He feels hungry. A cat comes to him, but he cannot touch it because if it is a female, he will lose 10% of his life points. Suddenly, Seika comes and speaks to him. He is afraid she will touch him, so he falls into the fountain. He then gets out, his clothes are very wet, and he begins to change his clothes. Seika shows him a very large hamburger and gives it to him as a gift because he helped her put the string on the bow earlier. She begins to hand him this large hamburger, and her fingertips touch his fingertips. He is struck by a severe pain, and the hamburger falls. Shigeo falls from the intensity of the pain he feels. 58 trillion in damage was deducted, and that is enough to kill the inhabitants of 300 Earths. Seika becomes very sad as she went to the trouble of buying this for him. He apologized to her for what happened. He did not mean it. He justified it to her and said, but your beauty made my hands tremble. She becomes very happy with him. He says to himself, my motto when I was an employee was to put a smile on other people's faces. He then takes the sandwich from the ground and is about to start eating it, but Seika tells him not to do do that, as it is dirty. She insists on giving him her own hamburger because he helped her with the bow and for bringing her many arrows. He takes the hamburger from her and begins to eat. Then Seiji and Rose arrive, and Seika quickly goes to them. Shigeo resolves to forge his own path by himself. And with that, our episode today ends with this precious young man. What will happen to him next? Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. But we ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all that is new. The episode begins today with Shika at the store wanting to buy some tools. The shopkeeper said to her, "How can you buy more, young lady?" She replied, "Look, I have the money." But he pointed out, "Your bag is already full of arrows." She said, "Sorry, it's for training and stuff." Then she looked at Shijaro and said, "I bet you don't want to buy anything since you don't have any money." The scene shifts to the rest of the group, CJ and Rizio, who have finally found a good inn. Meanwhile, Shijaro told his friend that they would be staying the night in the park. She told him, "All right, I can pay for your room." He replied, "How? I can't let you do that." But she tells him there's no difference between them. Here, something very strange happens. She pulls him by his clothes, and the damage that happened before when she touched his skin doesn't occur. This is a really good thing. If she touches his body, he gets electrocuted and his power decreases. The scene shifts to Shika with some money, while Shiharo has gone to sleep but is still thinking. He can't bear any more debt because he's truly broke. He then brings up his status screen, looking at some of his items and skills. He wants to find a steady source of income, but if he gets stuck, he'll be in big trouble. The kind of trouble that makes you want to run away from this world he just escaped to. What should I do now? How do I get money? About half an hour later, Shijaro went and bought some things and said, "Here you go, these are for you all. I can't eat them alone." Everyone was happy. They wanted biscuits, chocolate and milk. Shika asked him, "How did you get so many things?" He tells her it was a gift from a kind person who used to be his colleague at work. Shika told him, "Since you're poor, if you need money, just tell me, because I'm fast. But thank you for these great things." Shiyado thinks to himself, "I bought those things with a genius idea called bartering. First, I used my ability to create many arrows. Then, I took them to the weapon shop. Since I can make many arrows very quickly, I asked for 40% of the selling price and got items in return. I think my negotiation method was a bit aggressive. Anyway, thank God, I've paid off my debt completely." After they ate and filled their stomachs, they opened the map. They now want to talk about the next mission and explore the town more, but first, they must secure a source of income. The monsters didn't leave any money behind, so they have to earn it. He started explaining on the map. "It seems there's a cave near the town. I'll check it out today. It might be dangerous, but we have to do this." At that moment, a swordsman approaches and says, "Are you going to Arga Cave? You might need a guide." Then he looks at Shijaro and says, "What's with that ugly face? I've never seen you before, precious man." Shijaro told him that he is not ugly, and in the end, we are all creations of God. The man then shows them some cards and says, "Do you know what these are? This is an item you can find in the first hut. This item gives you a one-time discount at the inn." Chika told him they hadn't found it before, but he tells them they can still get it, so go get your money back from the reception desk. CJ asks him, "Excuse me, but who are you?" The man introduces himself as Kyushiro, who makes a living by working as a guide for newcomers like them. "Hire me and you'll get a better deal." And this, my friends, is probably dangerous. He likely preys on newcomers. If something happens, Shijiro might have to be on the front lines as he has the power of a great beast and is stronger than everyone. CJ speaks up. "Sir, we are not rich, but if this is an investment to increase our knowledge and experience, what do you think of 120 arira plus a bonus fee? If you accept these terms, let's do it." They shake on it and he says, "Yes, I accept." Everyone prepares to go to this mysterious cave and they set off. They encounter some goblins and Shika tries to shoot them, but she's still the same. She doesn't hit them with any arrows. The guy told her, "You need to save your arrows and improve your accuracy. Imagine each of these arrows costs 100 million yen." She exclaimed, "Why? Is it a ballistic missile? It's just a stick." She then started aiming carefully and landing direct hits. Everyone moves on and it seems this guide is very good. Along the way there was some training. Everyone was training except for Shijaro. The guide asks him, "Aren't you going to join them, Mr. Shijaro?" he told him he doesn't have a suitable skill, but that's not true. Shijiro then recalls when he left the village on a Thursday evening to make some arrows. He encountered a huge golem. He tested the power of his staff, and a warning appeared that everything within a 200-kilometer radius would disappear. This means if he used his full power in a prefecture, it could be completely annihilated. And if he used it in Saitama Prefecture, the Pacific Ocean would be connected to the Sea of Japan. Of course, he cancelled it immediately. Kiyoshiro then told him to be diligent and keep at it, otherwise he would be forced to take contracts like him. He explained that he was a member of a mercenary group and had a counterpart who was his equal, but that person retired. Kiyoshiro lacked the skills to advance, but that other person rose through the ranks, became a king, reached level 80 and had an average stat of 160. He then tells Shijiro he didn't mean to shock him with this story and doesn't want him to give up, but to keep trying. After that, they all go to Arga Cave and find ancient ruins, which is very interesting to them. They enter the cave, and a look of fear appears on Shika's face, so Ruzio holds her hand to go with her. As they enter, they see the limestone formations. Kiyoshiro asks Shika to watch out for the rocks as they could fall on her. CJ talks to her and asks for her age in real life, as this information might be necessary for strategic planning. He then tells her that he is 30 years old in real life. Shika replies that she is not 16 but 17. CJ then asks her, "Do they really teach you that the value of pi is 3 these days?" Shika retorts that it's 3.14 and only becomes 3 when rounding. He asks if she's ready for her university entrance exams or not, and she replies that she always gets the highest scores. She's very smart. As they wander inside the cave, they encounter huge bats and kill them. They reach the depths of the cave and find a large gate. Shika approaches it to try and open it. Kiyoshiro asks her what her level is, and she replies that she is level 3. He scoffs at her and tells her that this is the boss's room and she will be instantly deleted if she opens it. Shika gets very scared and returns to her friend. That moment, Shijiro recognizes that this is the sub-boss for this early stage. CJ speaks with Kiyoshiro and thanks him, saying they've come this far safely because of him. Kiyoshiro tells him that he's sure he will become a good leader, but, he says, there is a special event he wants them to see before they leave. He takes them to a door and tells them that this meeting hall brings back very bad memories for him. CJ asks if he built this room, and he replies that someone else did. He claims it's a completely safe place, that monsters cannot enter and magic cannot penetrate. Shijiro doesn't believe him because he knows there is no safe place within a 200-kilometer radius of the town of Arga, so this place is definitely not safe. When they enter the room, it's filled with lots of drinks and food. Kiyoshito tells them that this is a welcome party for those who have been reincarnated and have reached this place. Shitiro looks at the drink cans on the table and sees a powder on the rim. He understands that it's a sleeping potion, but it won't affect him at all. CJ says that he appreciates it, but they have to return to town before sunset. Shika gets upset because she wants to enjoy the party, but Kiyoshiro tells them he won't force them to do anything they don't want to. Go back to town quickly and you can celebrate there properly. CJ reverses his position and tells him that he suspected him, but that he is a very kind person. You treated us with such generosity and yet we doubted you. Kyuchiro tells him not to worry at all. He did what he was supposed to do as a leader. He then hands him a can of juice. CJ remains sad for having doubted the man. We then see Shijiro thinking to himself what to do about the drug. If he uses an antidote spell, it will glow and his cover will be blown. So he decides to stall them by talking. He asks them what they were doing before they came to this world. CJ asks them to let him tell his story. When he was in school, he got tired of everything and left home. Then he started his own company called Success Life. Shijiro is shocked because he thinks he visited that place for shopping and the president looked exactly like him. CJ continues his story saying that in the company's early days a salesman came without an appointment. This man tried to sell him an overpriced copy machine. Shijiro understands that CJ is talking about him. CJ continues saying he tried to negotiate the price but would never forget what the man said. The man told him, "I'm the president. You should learn to relax." I was moved by Mr. Y's passion, so I left the management of the company to my employees to go out and relax. After a short time, the company grew and became listed on the stock exchange. But after that, I let my company go bankrupt. The cause of the bankruptcy was an incident with the artificial intelligence we were developing. This caused hardship for everyone involved. I became psychologically ill and couldn't repay the debt I owed to Mr. Y for the opportunity he gave me. So I came here and promised myself that I would never let anyone down again. He then talks to Shijiro and asks for his family name. Shijiro answers Sasaki. After that, everyone fell asleep. Then Kyoshiro and his friends appeared, saying, "You fell asleep in a place like this? You'll catch a cold." They were so honest, it was naive. Today was so easy. One of his friends said to him, "Your work was flawless today, brother." We then see Shijiro talking to himself. "Rest assured, I'm awake." He goes to them. Kyoshiro says, "They're good merchandise, so wrap them up gently." They then put handcuffs on them. Shijiro thinks, "This feeling reminds me of something I'd rather forget. It doesn't matter, but now I can use my full power." Then CJ wakes up. He tells them, "Don't you dare touch them." Kyoshiro says, "This is impressive, but all you can do is stand there. Let's get on with it." They go to CJ and grab him, saying, "You're finished. It was over the moment you trusted me. In the end, I outsmarted you." Shijiro watches them thinking, "But with my insane stats, CJ will get caught in my attack." CJ attacks, but the man hits him and throws him to the ground. Kyoshiro yells at him, "Don't hurt them, it'll lower the price." Shika says to him, "You kidnap people like this. You're a horrible person. So many who come to this world have already been broken by their previous one. You strike them down when they are about to get a second chance. However, I won't let you touch my friends. I will protect them." Kyoshiro tells her, "This is the world where all the failures come. I'm afraid you're very naive. And what can you do in your state?" He then tells his friends to tie her up quickly. Then Shijiro wakes up and attacks them, performing powerful moves. He tells Shika to leave this to him, but Shika refuses, saying, "This is reckless, but I can't let you fight alone." Shijiro replies, "Yes, she's the emotional type." Shijiro then attacks and kills them, while Shika says to him, "For your information, I'm strong. I'll finish them with a single blow." They attack them, shouting, "Don't you touch a hair on their heads." Then Shijiro attacks the leader. We see Shika say, "The light of my hand, this consumes all evil. If you're thinking of retreating, now is the time." A special note appears. "I made a vow in my private notes. I broke that promise. I will pay the price. I will never fail my friends. By breaking that vow, I will pay the price. The extra range you gain in exchange for this vow, I have gained this power." Shigiro then thinks to himself, "She put everything into a special bonus skill. Didn't you balance it?" Shika says, "Anger activates this skill. When my anger reaches its peak, it glows with a blazing red light. Put down your weapons and leave." Kiyoshiro tells her, "We won't worry about your right hand after we tie it up, but it might leave some scars." Shijiro thinks, ignoring defense completely. That's reckless, no matter how you look at it. But I don't hate it. Suddenly, Kyoshiro tries to strike Shika, but Shijiro saves her in the nick of time and tells Shika to use him as a shield. Shijiro then narrates, "In real life, your kindness gets you exploited. So in another world, a person should be rewarded for their kindness. I don't want to run away anymore. Show us how it's done, leader." Suddenly, CJ gets angry and transforms into an invincible hero. And that's how today's episode of this anime ends. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all that is new. This anime episode begins with Shigiro and his friends. Kiyoshiro attempts to kidnap them, but Seiji transforms into an incredibly powerful hero, shocking everyone. He becomes super fast and fearless, using his strength to attack Kiyoshiro and his men. However, he stops at the last moment to reflect, deciding that the law, not him, should judge them. He realizes that punishing them now would deny him the chance to atone for his actions, and that the law will hold them accountable for their transgressions, making them regret their mistakes. He warns them that if they commit another crime, he will show no mercy, then turns his back. Kiyoshiro seizes this opportunity and tries to strike Seiji with his sword. Shigiro throws himself in front of Seiji, causing Kiyoshiro to fall due to Shigeru's immense size. Shigiro then cleans his nose, flicking the waste onto the ground. The discarded waste surprisingly detonates, blowing up the wall behind Kiyoshiro and his friends, astonishing Shigiro and his companions. Kiyoshiro then weeps before Seiji, begging for forgiveness and promising to change. Shigeru orders everyone to line up and tells Seiji to strike them with his signature attack, explaining that they don't understand the pain of others and need to be taught a lesson. He says Seiji is the only one capable of wielding the whip of love they desperately need. Seiji ponders for a moment, then returns to his normal state. Shigeru asks why he reverted, and Seiji explains that he no longer has a reason to be angry and that anger shouldn't fuel the whip of love. He states that it would simply be self-gratification and that true love means engraving the pain in his hand and the person he struck in his heart. He then orders them to stand straight and proceeds to slap each of them across the face. Afterwards, Seika and Reizi are found sleeping. Seiji carries them to a room, and then he himself succumbs to a sedative that was in his drink. Kyoshiro speaks to Shigeru, telling him that this is their chance against Seiji. Shigeru realizes they haven't changed. Kyoshiro tries to convince him to join them, claiming it must be hard to stay in a group with liars and promising to do whatever he wants if he joins. Shigeru ignores them, takes Seiji and puts him in his place. After everyone wakes up and returns to town, they receive a reward, 100,000 rira, equivalent to about 10 million yen, placed on Kyoshiro and his team. Shigeru is shocked by the amount, given the terrible things they did. Each person's share is then distributed. Seiya tells Saichi that since they were asleep, they didn't do anything and thus shouldn't get a share. Saichi replies that he put them in danger by naively trusting Kyoshiro. When they ask who defeated Kyoshiro's group, Seiji tells them that Shigeru was braver than him and used his body as a shield to protect him. Seiji then asks Shigeru to take his share. Shigeru considers this, thinking he'll leave the group after he repays his debt to Seika. He decides to use his old skill of sweet talking, telling them he's a spendthrift and his money disappears quickly, so he refuses to take it and wants to give it to someone he trusts to spend wisely. Seiji then distributes the money among them, wanting them to use it to prepare for what's to come. When Seiji gives Shigeru his share, Shigeru says he feels more at ease being broke. Seika then offers to manage his money for him. Seika tells Shigeru, "Tell me if you want to buy anything." Shika, likely a typo and meant to be Seika, responds, "You tend to buy things without thinking." Seika gets upset, saying Shika is being mean to her. Shigeru thinks to himself, perhaps giving money to Seika wasn't such a good idea after all. Ina and Revelation. They go to a restaurant together and Seika tells Shigeru, "Wait here, I'll pay for you." Shigeru agrees, thinking, "She took my share. 25,000 rira will be enough for a night's lodging and food. I can manage with my skills. There's no reason for me to stay, but I guess this is our last dinner." Seika returns with burgers and tells him, "Show me your gratitude." Shigeru thanks her, and Seika is delighted. He thinks, she seems to be enjoying this conversation. It started out unfriendly, but it's actually quite the opposite. Seika then tells him, "Forget your diet and eat. I fell in love with burgers 2 days ago." Seika's secret and Shigeru's distress. Afterwards, she asks him about Shigeru's stats. He tells her they're very boring. She replies, "It's a shame you didn't notice this. I found a small trick. When you lower your appearance stat, your bonus points increase. I lowered mine to 16. Shigeru is surprised by what Seika says, especially when she reveals that in the notes section under her stats, she wrote, "I want to be beautiful." He thinks, if just one entry made me look like that actor in the commercial? Shigeru then goes to the bathroom and cries intensely, saying, "I used to hold her hand." He then stares at and touches his own hand. If she wished to be beautiful, she would touch her face, not her hands. There's no doubt she's suffering from a rhythm that affects her legs as well. She can't stand. A teenage girl. Is there nothing in this world that can help us? Shigeru's new resolve. Seika goes to check on Shigeru and asks if he needs any help or treatment, but Shigeru tells her, "Get out immediately. I don't want your help." He talks to himself again, saying Seika has no social experience. She's innocent. This way, all her qualities will make her an easy target. All I can do as the title holder is help her. Now that I've become a strong person, I'll make sure you become qualified. Shigeru then emerges from the bathroom. Seika tells him, "I was so worried about you. Come on, everyone's waiting. Future aspirations." Then Shika, likely again a typo for Seika, or possibly another character is now speaking, starts talking about their future plans. "What do you think about determining a range distribution profession, considering the profession will help us in combat, as our attributes will be more flexible? My goal is to become a hero." He then says, "Seika, you should be a sorceress, and Shigeru will be a heroic fighter." Seika tells Shika, "I want to become a hero." Shigeru tells her, "You want to become a heroic fighter?" Seika, very happy, says yes. A new team and a lavish spender. The team stands ready. A hunter, a hero, a sorceress, and a truly great heroic fighter. Shigeru thinks to himself, even though Seiji was cautious, he spent lavishly. This shows how much he cares about this. Seika approaches him, exclaiming, "Look, I've become an amazing sorceress. What do you think of me?" Shigeru replies, "Bravo, you're truly great. You should become the hero, heading to Valyria and a knight right off. They open the map and look at their next destination, the largest city in the region, the Principality of Valeria. Saiji then announces, "There's an important matter I'd like to inform you all about now. Everyone is allowed to bring snacks not exceeding 2 rira in value. Now make yourselves comfortable and we'll meet tomorrow morning. You are dismissed. Jump ropes and hidden talents." Afterward, Seika talks to her friend asking, "Do you want to jump rope with me?" Her friend replies, "Okay, I'd love to. Let's go to the park." Shigeru then recalled Seika in the weapons shop. She hadn't found many weapons for sorcerers, and the seller told her that her magic was her weapon, and unfortunately, she couldn't use any of the tools there. She then pointed to a weapon, and Shigeru asked her, "What are you doing with that weapon? It will be too heavy for you, and it's also a dangerous weapon." The other weapon she pointed to was a kung fu weapon. She told him, "Not that, it's a jump rope." He told her, "Excellent choice. It's the best weapon for combat training and will make your body like a snake, moving and twisting as you wish." Later, they try it out. Shigeru jumps rope and she tells him, "Bravo, you're light despite your heavy weight." Then she tries and does it successfully, but she wished to teach her friend who was with her. Shigeru tells her, "I have an idea." Shigeru then hides in the trees and she goes to teach her. Indeed, the beautiful girl was very skilled, though Seika didn't know her name. Here, Seika calls her Reis, a truly beautiful name, and the girl with yellow hair and honey eyes is delighted. She continues jump roping and makes a jump that reaches almost the 20th floor, then lands on the ground like a fly. Everyone encourages her, and Shigeru is surprised, saying, "What's wrong with that girl? How strong is she?" People gather around her, saying, "Bravo, you look very well trained." Raises apology and a shocking revelation. Seika then starts crying, and Shigeru emerges from his hiding spot, telling her, "Shame on you, Reis. You should never ignore anyone." Reis apologizes and quickly runs away, leaving the place. The scene then shifts to Seika and Shigeru. Seika finds a message from Shigeru. It reads, "I'm very sorry for what happened, and thank you for your beautiful heart." She quickly runs to look for him. A familiar name? Next, we see Shigeru calling out to Reis, saying, "Come out. He's gone. Reis is gone. Come out." She does come out, then tells him, "We want to enter the room." They enter the room, and she apologizes to him in a strange way. He asks her, "Why are you apologizing to me?" She replies, "I have to apologize to you, and be careful. I know your family name isn't Sasaki. Your real name is Yoshioka. Are you Mr. Y who saved Saiji safely? Is this true?" Shigeru is shocked, but we don't know what his answer will be. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out everything. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all new updates. Our episodes today begin with Reizo telling Shigeru, "Your real name is Yoshioka Shigeru. You are the man who saved Seiji." He asks her, "Why do you think my family name is Yoshioka?" She replies that it's due to her special power of observation, as she can read other people's windows, their names, characteristics, and private notes, of course. He is shocked by this and tells her, "Stop! Don't read my window." Then Reizo asks him, "Can you guess Seika's physical condition in the previous world?" He replies, "Yes, to some extent." Reizo then says very sadly that she was the one who caused it, and she has come here to atone for her sin. "I will tell you what happened. I was part of a certain program in the previous world and met Seika there. I wished happiness for others and for Seika, but when the program went out of control, it caused an incident that I couldn't stop, and Seika was harmed because of me." She cries, tears streaming down her face, and says, "I ask for forgiveness repeatedly. That incident happened due to a simple misunderstanding and wrong feelings. So I wrote in my private notes, I want to understand others better." Shigeru then realizes that she can read other people's windows because of that, and that the project she was in was an artificial intelligence project. He also learns that Seiji is her older brother, and he is shocked to learn this because Seiji doesn't seem to know her identity. Reizo says, "I'm completely different from how I used to be, so he probably didn't notice." Shigeru is displeased with his appearance and thinks to himself, "My appearance is minus 255, which is not an easy matter, and I don't think anyone noticed my true identity except this girl." Then Reizo says, "I heard about Mr. Yai, or Mr. Yoshioka, from my brother Seiji, and I was looking for you because you bring smiles to others' faces. I believe it was destined for me to find you in this world with these qualities. People, you are trying to make Seika smile and trying to help Seiji. Please let me help you guide them." He tells her that guiding them is an exaggeration, but they deserve a reward. They are innocent and good people, and he doesn't mind forming an alliance with her. Reizo is very happy, as she has also made up her mind at this moment. She takes out her dagger and cuts her hair as if making a promise to herself, remembering Seika's words when she used to tell her that short hair suited her. She says, "I wanted to get as close to Seika as possible." Shigeru appreciates this strong determination and tells her that he will contribute with her to make others happy. On the other hand, we see Shigeru with his friends placing these things on an animal, and Seka is very happy with it. Seiji tells her that this animal exists only in this world. It's a transport animal. Then Reizo arrives and apologizes for being late. Saiga notices that her hair is now short as she cut it and tells her that it looks very beautiful on her. Reizo is very happy. After that, they continue their journey to their destination, encountering monsters and defeating them one by one through their cooperation. Seka rejoices as her magic skills have greatly improved. Seiji then informs them that the sun is beginning to set, so they should set up camp here. Shigeru explains that they are currently traversing mountains to reach the Valyria Principality, coming from the city of Eria. This route will get them there 2 days faster than the main road, but it's steep and lacks inns. However, they begin setting up their tents. Seiji divides the tasks, offering Seka the choice of starting a fire or catching fish. Seka, being the great sorceress, confidently chooses to fish, believing she can do it with ease. She and Shigeru then sit down to fish, but they can't find the specific fish they want to catch. Seka gets frustrated but doesn't want to cry, as she had already cried a little while jumping on the mountain. She doesn't want to bring shame upon herself, especially since she doesn't even know why she sometimes cries when she's not sad. Shigeru tells her that crying is good. People don't just cry out of sadness but also out of being moved. He explains that people gradually forget how to cry, and once they do, their power stops growing. He advises her that if she doesn't know why she's crying, she should ask herself what is touching her heart. At that moment, Reizo comes to check if they've caught any fish, but they haven't had any luck yet. The fire is ready, so she's come to call them. Seika decides they'll catch dinner tonight. Reizo then shoots her arrows into the sea, catching many fish to everyone's delight. Seika takes the fish to Seiji for cooking. Afterward, Reizo tells Shigeru that Seika is very happy when she's by his side, just as her brother said, because he's someone capable of making others smile. Shigeru tells her that she's exaggerating her praise, then asks her to return to their friends for dinner. Reizo pleads with Shigeru not to tell anyone about her, because if they know now, the four of them will split up. She asks him to give her some time. They then join Seika and Seiji, who have already cooked the meal. Seika has prepared a barley porridge, as one craves warm food while camping. While they were preparing the food, Shigeru talks to himself about Seiji, knowing he's a good leader. Everyone then sits down to eat. Shigeru talks to Seiji, asking his opinion on the purpose of this journey. They say he thinks it's like defeating the demon lord in a game where one sets goals for their work, then wonders if there's a vision like that in this world. Seiji replies that he's not sure if there are goals in this world, but for now, their goal is to reach the Valyria Principality. He wants to reach a civilized area to gather information, multiply their options, and find their goals later. At that moment, an exhausted girl arrives, falls to the ground, and loses consciousness. The scene then shifts back to this girl running from some men who are trying to find her so she can pay for what happened. The girl hides behind a tree and then displays her private notes, blaming herself for writing such foolish things. She then remembers her lover, who left her for another beautiful girl. Suddenly, the girl wakes up next to Seiji. He asks her who she is and what happened to her. The girl tries to move, but he asks her to calm down, as she's badly injured and they've stopped the bleeding using Seika's magic. The strange girl asks them to take her by the fire, so they move her there. At that moment, Reizo reads in her private notes, "I will never forgive beautiful girls. I will disembowel them and kill them." Reizo doesn't understand this writing and asks Shigeru about it, but tells him that she could undoubtedly target Seika. Afterward, we see Seiji and the girl. He asks her name, and she tells him she's called Rhea. Seiji asks her to eat some food. Seika tries to feed her, but Rhea wants to refuse and might do something to her. Shigeru thinks to himself, "Don't cause us stress." Reizo has her weapon, but even without it, if she shows any sign of undesirable behavior, we'll cast her out. Then, Seiji asks Rhea how she got so badly injured. Rhea replies, "My group was attacked and we got separated. I ran for my life." Seiji tells her, "That was harsh. We're on our way to the Valyria Principality. We'll protect you until we get there, so rest assured." Seiji adds, "You can trust him. Seiji swore he'd never let us down, so you can trust him." Rhea seems exhausted and wants to be reassured. Shigeru then mutters, "You can't lie because of your private notes, but this applies to your face. Learn to control your bloodlust." The girls go to the water source to relax together. Shigeru thinks it would be strange to stop them and wants to go with them, but Seiji stops him, saying, "I know you're worried, but don't do anything." Shigeru retorts, "But that woman is dangerous." Seiji replies, "Rhea is a mature woman. She'll burn you if you touch her recklessly." Shigeru then says, "But allowing Seika to handle this alone?" Seiji interjects, "Let's trust Seika. Despite her appearance, she's an independent woman, 17 years old. Let's wait while we eat. Shigeru thinks to himself that Seiji doesn't know about Reia's private notes. We then see Shigeru shaking and making side jumps with all his might, possessing 1,000,000,000,000 agility points. Seiji falls asleep, and Shigeru goes to the girls. The scene shifts to Reia, who tells Seika that Seiji is a very handsome young man. I like his handsomeness and his immaturity. He's strict but considerate and a wonderful person. Shigeru and Reizo are all wonderful too. Then Reia says, I wish I could join you. I wrote something in my notes. I will never forgive beautiful girls. I will disembowel them and kill them. You are one of the good girls. Seika gets very scared. I don't think I'm beautiful, but once it's written in the private notes, it can't be disobeyed. And looking at beautiful girls fills her mind with motives, and suddenly she finds herself having committed something terrible. Shigeru understands that Reia is being controlled by her private notes. Seika talks to Reia and asks her why she wrote such a private note. Reia replies that beautiful girls once trampled on what she held dearest. Then her lover left her and mocked her as all men sided with the beautiful girls. She vented her hatred in her private notes, and that's why she was expelled from her town and moved from one team to another, destroying beautiful girls. But she will end all of that today and ask Seiji to take care of her, so she wants Seika to die for her. She raises her sword to strike Seika. At that moment, Reizo intervenes, striking Reio's sword with her spear, sending it to the ground. Reio runs to pick it up, but Shigeru catches up to her before she can grab it. Reio reprimands him. Shigeru decides to kill her. At that moment, another girl arrives, and thus, today's episode ends. If you liked the video, please click like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. A few hours earlier, the group had arrived in the Principality of Valeria. One of the first things they noticed was that here they'd find things that didn't exist in IRA. For example, an employment security office set up to match citizens with available jobs or guarantee unemployment benefits. After that, they returned the pack animal they had rented. The shop owner thought Shiru was one of the animals, which of course deeply offended the big guy. C calmly explained that this so-called beast was actually just a member of their group, and the merchant nearly jumped out of his skin, which only irritated the insulted human even more. Speaking of Shiru, Seika commented that one of the animals looked just like him, something Shiru himself admitted because of its grumpy face. On the other hand, the girl thought the creature was actually kind of cute. Chairu asked Ri if she really found that thing cute, and the girl explained it depended on a person's taste. In fact, Seika seemed to find pretty much every animal adorable, which made Chairu realize that girls were capable of seeing cuteness in just about anything. Even after that little episode, Seika was still marveling at plush toys in a street market stall. The more they walked through the city, the more comfortable she seemed to get. Chairu acknowledged that this world might look wonderful at first glance, but he knew the reality was much greater than that. For one, monsters here didn't drop money, while humans still got tired and hungry, and all those needs cost money to satisfy. As an absolute god, Chairu felt it was his mission to guide Seika and Seige from the shadows, and that easy relief could actually become an obstacle for them, a distraction. As for himself, the ugly one needed to find a way to make money while keeping his absurd power hidden from the public, because that might just be the key to his pate's survival in this world. That night, while talking with Sage at the inn, Chairu learned that his ally had asked street vendors, shopkeepers, and even government officials about ways to earn money, and discovered that the methods here weren't so different from the world they came from. In other words, the path was to find a normal job. To be honest, Chairu found the idea of getting a regular job in a fantasy world pretty dull. C pointed out that in any case, it seemed that everyone who lived decently here was someone who'd landed a job paying around 2,000 ras, roughly 200,000 yen a month. Chairu wondered if they couldn't just make a living by wiping out hordes like the last one they'd taken down. C thought they probably could, but only if they were working under someone not hunting monsters on their own. Shai remembered that the employment office had listed plenty of low-paid jobs, but also some well-paid ones, like detective's assistant, with a monthly salary of 10,000 ras. There was also a co-secretary position paying 15,000, and even a garbage collector job offering 28,000 rur a month. He couldn't help but wonder what kind of garbage people dealt with here to get paid that much. Still, none of those jobs required prior experience. The problem was, these offers seemed a little too good to be true, and Shiru could easily picture Seiko walking straight into that kind of trap without a second thought. According to Sage, ordinary jobs paid just enough to get by, while shady ones paid far more. even to people with no experience. With that in mind, the group leader invited Sheiru to the city's casino, figuring they'd meet all kinds of people there. Exactly what they needed to get genuinely interesting offers and information straight from unusual, intriguing sources. C had figured out that to succeed in life here, he needed to open the boldest paths possible, always chasing greater achievements and knowledge. But to do that, he also needed his trusty companion's help. That's how they ended up at the casino. And it's no coincidence, that's where we find them in the next scene. As always, Seika was the most excited, the most frantic, and the unluckiest of the bunch, making sure to try every game possible and losing at every single one. Sheiru wasn't exactly a lucky man himself, and he still drew the same contemptuous stares from people who couldn't handle his outrageous ugliness. With an appearance score of -255, he already knew gathering information would be hard, so his best bet was to rely on the handsome members of the team. Sage, for example, seemed to be doing well with his determination and charm, while Ri worked in the shadows with her wind-reading skill, extremely useful in situations like this. Seika, on the other hand, didn't seem the least bit interested in working. She was only there to play. At least she took a break to eat something. That's when Sheiru asked how much money she still had. Since she'd started with 50,000 ras and seemed to have lost most of it, Seika replied she still had 30,000 plus a single 10 RA coin. That made the poor man lose a few more hairs from a head that was already past its prime. To make matters worse, a man named Kashya introduced himself to Seika as the manager of the casino hall. Without shame, he asked if she happened to be rich. She answered without hesitation that she was, with pride as big as her innocence. At that moment, Shu regretted never teaching her not to go around telling people she had a lot of money. Naturally, Kaja, being the casino owner, had been eyeing her from the start, noticing her carefree way of playing and assuming only a rich person could lose that much money with a smile on their face. The manager then invited her to a private conversation. Of course, she asked Shaya what he thought, and he decided to go with her. So, the two of them were led into a staff-only room where the young woman was served a cup of hot chocolate. Shira noticed that the casino as a whole was already quite fancy, but this office felt even more so. Without a doubt, this business was extremely profitable. To start things off, Kaija praised the boldness the girl showed when gambling, the unique audacity of a true tycoon, going all in with her eyes closed and all that. Saika was delighted by the compliment, while Shiru knew perfectly well it was far from the truth. Still, the manager went on to announce that he offered a special service for such generous customers, something called the Extra Stage. This service promised thrilling games and exclusive rates tailored for regular patrons who found no satisfaction in the usual run-of-the-mill matches. Kaja believed this kind of benefit was perfect for a daring player like Seika, and she could have it all included in her play sessions for a mere 20,000 ras, complete with a limited time discount on the enrollment and annual fees. Innocent as always, Seika asked if there would be an annual fee the following year, but the manager, eager to have her as a client, promised never to charge it again. She wondered why he was so insistent on recruiting her, and he explained that the bets born from the delicate, refined hands of such a beautiful lady were incredibly invigorating thanks to her charm and strength. Shairu, already wary of the man's silver tongue, became even more alert at how skillfully he wove his words. Luckily, Seika asked her friend for his opinion, even though he knew this man was trying to swindle her. Shairu didn't want to confront him too soon. Instead, he suggested that she consult Sage before making any decisions. Kaju didn't mind, assuming this friend must be as wealthy as the girl herself. She admitted he was, though not quite as much as her, and that only confirmed to Shairu that he still had a long road ahead in this mess. As they were about to leave, the manager stopped them to ask that they not share this offer with anyone. Clearly hoping for a positive answer. When the door closed, Seke commented on what a great person the manager was, nearly giving Shairu a heart attack. That's when Ri arrived, just as Saika stepped out to call Sei. After observing the man earlier, she told the big guy that Kaja had some rather disturbing special details which read, "I will never be deceived again. I will ruin the rich. I'll strip them of everything, leave them with nothing, and then push them straight into hell." Later, back at the inn, Seika learned about this and was shocked to hear that Kia might be evil. Despite what was said, C didn't outright claim he was, but at the very least they needed to keep their guard up since they were already discussing suspicious behavior. Shiro pointed out that the man was a master at stirring desires and making you feel special. In other words, a very dangerous person. Seika asked how her friend knew all that. Since he couldn't reveal that Ri had the ability to read other people's windows, windows, he joked that he'd been a detective in the past, a convenient way to dodge the question for now. C then unintentionally helped steer the conversation away by showing them a stack of job listings. According to him, they all had something in common. They paid well, required no prior experience, and, most importantly, were all connected to the casino. C had managed to interview people who had responded to these listings, but strangely, none of them had been hired. The only exception was someone whose friend had gotten a job as a detective's assistant. That person's name was Kaashio, and according to him, the job was simple: find people spending large sums at the casino. Shairu asked if the man had earned the equivalent of 1 million yen in salary, but before answering, C added an important detail. The friend in question had gone missing. Kai couldn't reach him, so he went to check in person, only to find that the man's house had turned into an empty lot for sale, and even the record of his family had vanished. Worse still, the city hall refused to process the missing person report, as if the man had never existed. Considering all of this, combined with Kaja's disturbing special details, Shairu found it likely that the casino manager had gotten rid of the detective's assistant altogether. At that point, the big guy glanced at Ri, silently, encouraging her to share whatever important thing she had been holding on to. Feeling confident, she stood up and handed C something she had found behind the casino. The boy froze at the sight of what lay beneath the cloth, and when Sika grew curious, Shairu advised her not to look, since it was in fact a human finger. Ri explained that she'd been investigating the back entrance when she saw a hooded man throw away a sack. She waited until he left before checking it. She had considered following him, but decided against it. She agreed with that choice. It could have been far too dangerous. In any case, this was proof that the casino was involved in some very shady business, and it would be wise to dig deeper into what was truly happening there. Since she'd been flattered and recruited by the manager, Seika volunteered to infiltrate the casino, even knowing that the main target was rich individuals. Her anger at him for hurting innocent people fueled her determination to do whatever it took. Aware of his friend's limited judgment, especially when she was fired up like this, Shairu hoped she would forbid it, but instead, their leader supported the plan wholeheartedly, even showing more resolve than Seika to uncover the crimes behind the case. Later, in a private conversation with Ri, Shairu asked if she was upset with him for failing to keep Seika out of danger, but she was only angry at Kacha for everything he'd done. Speaking of him, Shiru remembered she had once said that perhaps not even an absolute god could match someone like that manager. So, he wanted to know what kind of abilities the man possessed. Ri didn't know everything about him, but she did know this: he could detect any lie, and she suspected that this ability might serve as a trigger to activate other powers. Ri couldn't figure out everything about the enemy because his window was unlike anything she'd ever seen patched up, stitched together, utterly unusual. Shairu knew he had to be careful, but he couldn't ignore the fact that the manager's hatred toward the rich spoke volumes about him. After all, Ri had been controlled by the special details she'd written out of hatred and had still managed to resist it. Yet this man didn't seem the least bit remorseful for the crimes he kept committing. Still, Shairu found it almost euphoric that all they'd been looking for was a job, only to stumble upon a multi-million crime network. Ri agreed it was incredible to see the four of them fighting together toward the same goal that had been the heart of her prayers after she'd finished her confession. Shiru remarked that maybe it had been her confession that had brought the four of them together, but she explained there was no continuation to her prayers. If true evil ever revealed itself to her, Ri would become an envoy of hell and invite them all into the darkness, and with that said, it was time to meet the enemy. Soon, the group gathered to uncover the casino's secrets. At the entrance, Seika drew every eye with her beauty, elegance, and confidence. Even though just minutes earlier she'd looked like a frightened child, still she'd done remarkably well after receiving a few quick lessons from Shiru on how to escape certain dangerous situations without lying, since their enemy was an expert at detecting that. On top of that, Seika had learned never to reveal personal information to bad people to avoid triggering any of Kaja's other abilities. Speaking of the devil, Kaja greeted Seika with his usual sweet words. She accepted the offer to become a VIP member on the condition that the manager had a game worthy of her. Thrilled by the challenge, the man invited her and Shairu for a private conversation. Check out these videos appearing on your screen and subscribe so you don't miss the next. Our episode today begins with Shigeru and Sika. They enter this nightclub to play games and to uncover the villain who runs the this place and controls the wealthy people, wanting to get rid of all the rich. Mr. Kagita, who has the ability to detect lies and activate his powers, lets them in. Shigeru says to himself, we must resist by giving him as little information as possible. Then he leads them through a door and they find a large area dedicated to games. Sika becomes very happy. Kagita introduces her to a young man named Kaito to explain the details of the games and the prices, the lowest of which is 100 rira. Kagita then turns to talk to Shigeru as Sika gave him no information. Shigeru activates his power of paranormal vision and dynamic vision adjustment so that Kagita cannot read his thoughts at all. We see him taking notes on everything, and he has written about Vic, Aviga, likely a misinterpretation of Sika's name or a different character, that she is a boastful lady carrying more than 1,000,000 rira today. Kagita tries to get Shigeru to play with Miss Sika, but he tells him that he has no money and is very weak. Kagita then turns to Sika again and says, if you want, I can take you to a more lively place like monster fighting. She tells him she will think about it. He then excuses himself and leaves. Ato begins to accompany her again and suggests the game of Baccarat, teaching her how to play. Shigeru's plan is for Sika to stay for a very long time without overspending, and she can continue to feign anger. At this moment, Shigeru pretends to have a stomach ache and collapses on the floor. He leaves, as if going to the restroom, exits through a door, and hypnotizes the guard. Afterwards, he transforms into a bat, searching for Mr. Kagita. After that, Shigeru, in his bat form, is able to successfully sneak up behind Kagita. He then begins to watch Sika, wanting to see how she is doing in the game, observing her using other dimension magic. He is indeed able to watch her. Then he sees a specific chamber and wonders what it is, as he does know. We then see Kagita standing in front of two statues, where he is speaking to his parents, telling them that everything is going according to plan. They had always told him that there are more important things in the world than money. They were not wealthy, but they taught him the joy of living an honest life, and he valued them greatly. However, they resisted an eviction order when a real estate and construction company united against them and took everything. They had amassed a lot of money, and it took a long time to get rid of them. He finished everything and was about to end his own life, but he felt as if a call from them came to him. But this world is also unfair, where the rich trample on the weak. Money corrupts human souls, and the tainted souls must be cleansed. They must be punished to feel pain, which will lead to their liberation. Shigeru understands that he has no other reason to live except for revenge against the wealthy. Afterwards, Kato enters and tells Kagita that Sika wants to leave, saying the place is boring and ridiculous because her escort is so bad even though he tried his best. Kagita tells him that Sika is scared because of the high prices, so he must let her win a little and then she will be hooked for sure. Kagita then speaks with Igarashi, asking if he understood him, and Igarashi replies that he did. Kagita tells him not to lie, then kills him in a very brutal way, turning him into a mummy. He then speaks to Kato, telling him that his friend lied to him, which is why he killed him in that manner. He hopes Kato understands his words. He wants him to let Sika enjoy the high-stakes games and allow herself to be drawn in, as he knows Kato is the type who understands things the first time. He wants him to continue playing his part well. Now, Shigeru is certain that Kagita's goal is to punish the wealthy and liberate them. The scene shifts to Sika and Shigeru, where Sika manages to win at her game and is overjoyed. She asks Shigeru to pay attention to her as she is winning. She has won 6 times in a row, and he wasn't focused on her. He asks her how much she has won, and she replies that she has earned 2 million rira. Kato tells her she shouldn't bet all her money on a single spot, but she doesn't listen to him. If she continues like this, she will go bankrupt. If she loses, her continued winning is part of Kagita's plan. As Sika keeps playing, Kato goes to Kagita to report what is happening. Kaduka comes over to them and tells Sika, looking at your winnings, there's no doubt your eyes can see luck. I wasn't wrong in discovering you. He then asks for her opinion on a more suitable game. Sika asks about the price of this game, whether it's higher or not. He informs her that its price isn't ordinary. It will be a special, customized game, played in a place behind the main stage, an additional stage in the Colosseum. Indeed, he takes them to this strange place and tells them the game is called Monster Battle, a special game not found anywhere else. Sika asks if she will be fighting herself. Kagita replies that it's possible but not recommended, as these monsters will fight to the death on her behalf. A fight to the death pumps adrenaline intensely and you will feel like you're opening a new door, he says. Shigeru asks him where he got these monsters, as he has never seen them outside before. Kagita replies that there are rare monsters created here. He then turns his words to Sika and asks her, why don't you open a new door? Shigeru interrupts, saying, this game is amazing amazing and I wish I could show it to Seiji, but we must leave now. Kagita ignores him and asks if this Seiji is rich. Sika says that Seiji would be very surprised to see it, so they should go home to tell him. Kagita asks Kato to escort them to the door and asks Sika to bring her friend next time, saying he will be waiting for them. While leaving, Sika notices Kato's face and asks him what happened. He replies that he made a mistake, but is fine, unable to tell her that Kagita was the one who did it. Sika says, I want to tell him about it, I think I'll go home now. As Kato walks with them, Kagita calls out, asking her again to bring her friend next time. I will be waiting for you both. Then Sika looks at Kato and asks, what happened to your face? He replies, I made a mistake, but I'm fine. Shigeru thinks to himself, he can't say it was Kagita. Sika then heals his injury, saying, I am a great magician. I can handle the tokens on the next floor. Suddenly, Kato tells Sika, run away now and don't come back to the casino. Kagita is targeting you. It's not about the wealthy client. He has sacrificed many of your colleagues. I hate this job, but I was afraid I would die. I knew what Kagita was planning, but I had no choice but to obey him. I'm so cowardly, Shigeru tells him. You must escape too. Your life is in danger now that you've revealed his secret. But Kato refuses. He has all my information. You can go to the back door from this floor. Tell the outside world about the darkness of this casino so that a hero might come to save us one day, if a hero truly exists. Suddenly, the hero Aldain appears before them. Kato asks him, are you really a hero? To which Aldain replies, yes, I've come to take down the casino manager. Kato cries profusely, having suffered so much in this casino. The casino owners notice something strange is happening. The hero tells them to escape via the stairs and go to the inn. I will return to the hall to draw their attention, he says. Shigeru asks to go with him. Aldain hides his wings and asks Kato, is this true? Kato replies, yes. If you lie to Kagita, he will absorb your abilities and your life as punishment. As far as I know, his eyes target you in red. It doesn't matter how simple the lie is, so please be careful what you say. They arrive where Kagita is, and Shigeru senses something happening. He says to himself, we have to rush through this place. Then Kaji tells them to evacuate immediately as the monsters underground might get out of control. Everyone gets scared and flees. Kaji then tells them the manager is in the lower arena, carrying out his liberation plan. Shigeru says he means punishing the souls corrupted by money to free them from their body. However, they miss the elevator. Kato is upset because that was the only direct elevator and the other crew members are down there. Just then, Sika arrives, surprising Aldain. She introduces herself, saying, I am the Sun Maiden. I got a membership card and came to help. A black-hailed girl asked me to help her friends. Use the power of persuasion. Take me with you. Nonam also arrives to help them. Aldain gets angry at Reese, likely a different character or a misinterpretation, asking him, where did you get this weapon? He tells him it's a weapon creation skill. Aldain and Sika are astonished, as this is a power they didn't possess. They introduce themselves to each other and become friends. Finally, the elevator arrives. Aldain tells Kato to leave the rest to them and get out of the place, but Shigeru tells him he wants to be a witness. This casino is colluding with an official bureau, otherwise it wouldn't be able to erase people from their family records. We will bring this place down and expose their evil deeds one by one. We want you to secure the evidence we'll need when the time comes. They get into the elevator and all prepare themselves. Shigeru tells them, leave Kagita to me. He has killed wealthy and non-wealthy people to achieve his goal and has no regrets for what he's done. This is what a man becomes after he loses faith in others. He is completely different from people like Kato. Unfortunately, it's impossible to change his mind. I'd prefer if Sika and Seiji didn't have to face him because they are too kind. That's why I have to go. This is how today's episode of the series/story ends. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell icon to receive all that is new. The anime episode starts with Shigeru and his friends challenging Kagita. Kagita tells them that killing his subordinate won't be enough and that bringing weapons into the casino is strictly forbidden. Otherwise, a monster battle will ensue, which he can arrange if they wish. The show begins. Before anything happens, Kagita talks to his dead subordinate, saying that he was disappointed in him because his loyalty was full of lies, therefore he will take his abilities after killing him. Shigeru understands that Kajita absorbs everything written in his followers' notes. Then Seiji decides to attack Kajita, but Kajita turns off the lights, making it impossible for them to see anything. They then hear a voice from within the darkness welcoming them to the underground fighting arena. The voice tells them that no one survives at the bottom of the abyss, and they are free to enjoy the deadly, nightmarish battles. They must play with these bloodthirsty monsters to satisfy their desires until their last breath. The lights turn on again, and huge monsters appear in front of Seiji and his friend. Aldine quickly rushes to strike the monsters, but a monster breathes fire. Aldine manages to nullify the fire with a single blow while telling her friends to stay alert because the next monster is coming. It's a level 80 monster with dark attributes. Aldine strikes the monster again, but it doesn't do anything to it. Then it's Seiji's turn. He heads towards the monster and asks Aldine to take care of El Carone. The monster tries to hit him with fire, but it can't. The monster tries repeatedly, but fails every time. Seiji manages to evade it each time. Then, Seiji uses his power and strikes the monster's body with his sword, which is very effective against evil enemies. With a single strike, he kills the monster. Afterward, El Carone runs to him to make sure he's okay, and she uses her power to heal him. Seiji thanks her, and then talks to Aldine, telling her that they were able to kill the monster. Shigeru appears and talks to Aldine, telling her that her level has surely risen. She replies that it has indeed. Seiji then asks her how she was able to see the attributes of others this way. Before she can answer, they hear the same voice again, which tells them that they are very strong and must be bored of fighting a level 80 monster. Therefore, they have more monsters, and they should continue to enjoy the deadly battle. Suddenly, a huge monster emerges. Aldine tells her friends that it's a level 200 monster, so they must be careful. Shigeru asks her to target Kajita. She agrees, but before she does anything, she slows down time, which is a small gift for her friends. He tells them to leave the monster killing to him and to handle the boss. We then see Shigeru searching for Kajita, talking to himself and saying that he knows Kajita can't trust anyone, despite having many monster cages. We then see Kajita watching Seiji and his friends through a screen, enjoying what's happening to them. He's never had such satisfying clients before, and he plans to kill them all after they defeat the monsters. At that moment, Shigeru appears. Kajita tries to strike him with a dagger, but Shigeru easily dodges all his attacks. Kajita asks him why he's there, and Shigeru replies that he just wanted to chat for a bit. He then says that the place is awful. Kajita uses his super speed to rush behind Shigeru to strike him, but Shigeru manages to block his attack in a split second. Kajita says he is very observant, but it's a trade secret, so he must leave immediately. Shigeru replies that he can't, unfortunately, as he's seen the full picture of this killer casino. He asks Kajita if he hates the wealthy so much. Kajita responds that people learn kindness because they have lived in poverty, and his father was a good example of this. But this isn't true for the rich, who lie without hesitation and rob others of their money by hurting pure people. This is the nature of those who have become rich. People become miserable from having money, which is very pathetic. For this reason, he must cleanse everyone of their defiled souls and guide them. Shigeru tells him he's on a path of destruction. Kajita replies that this is impossible, as he is level 512, and even an army of 1,000,000 soldiers cannot scratch him. He knows that Shigeru is completely powerless. Shigeru responds that he's sure he's very strong, and therefore there's no problem with controlling innocent people and trampling on them to achieve his goals. But how is this any different from what the people he hates do? Kajita becomes angry at Shigeru, saying, "You pig, don't you dare speak the language of humans." Shigeru attacks him with a powerful blow, sending him flying far away into the wall. Shigeru warns him that he is not a pig, but a legendary fighter. We then return to the others who are fighting monsters. Aldine says this is the last monster and its level and attributes are very high, so they shouldn't let their guard down. The hero agrees with what she says and adds, "I know we can win. We will win and meet Shigera." We return to Shigeru, who asks Kajita if he intends to surrender. When Kajita is about to insult him again, he looks at the sword next to Shigeru and attacks him, but Shigeru dodges his attack. Kajita says it's too early to end this and that it might be a waste for a pig like him, but he will allow him to see the form of the king who leads them all. Kajita places the sword on the ground and it glows. He then says, "I don't know how you distributed your points, but your combat power exceeds my abilities. But what about magic? A large eye appears from Kajita. He says, this monster's level and attributes are 9999. After repeatedly creating magical monsters, this masterpiece was born. Shigeru thinks to himself that Kajita worships this monster. Kajita says, you said you're legendary. Your attributes have a lot of gaps. You must have ignored your magic and put all your points into physical strength, which makes you completely weak in the face of spells. What do you think will happen when you face the strongest spell ever? The one-eyed monster uses its magic and casts a spell on Shigeru, but nothing happens to him. Shigeru then activates his power on the monster and casts a spell, killing it in less than a second. Kahita is astonished. Shigeru tells him that using that power was the second most powerful spell, which he nullified with the strongest spell ever. Kahita is shocked and says, you're a legendary fighter. You're not supposed to be able to use magic. Shigeru replies, they say you can detect lies, but a person can hide the truth without lying. It all depends on how you express yourself. I am the Great King. That's the title of my profession. All my attributes are 1.05 trillion, so there are a lot of zeros, of course. I didn't lie about being a legendary fighter. That's the profession my leader assigned to me. Separating the main job from your profession is normal in the world of sales representatives. Vegeta gets very angry, saying, a miserable, lowly pig like you shouldn't defile the name of the Great King. You will atone for your sins with your death. He goes to kill him, but a sword comes from above and finishes him off. A girl appears and says, you shouldn't have looked for our temporary staff member. He is one of the rare employees capable of taming magical monsters. I got rid of him as soon as he created the giant eye monster. I stole his ability to create magical monsters. I realized you were strong, but you went too far. Kajita says to her, I did it for you. You were the one who said you wanted to see a new king. You're lying to me. The girl then goes to Shigeru, wanting to chat with him, but he's scared. Shigeru tells her, don't come any closer. The girl replies, are you shy? Don't be afraid of me. I'm friendly. Don't worry. Shigeru thinks to himself, she's very strong, stronger than me. This is completely unexpected. And women are my natural enemies. Physical contact would be fatal. He asks her why she fought Kajita. She tells him, that man annoyed me arbitrarily. We belong to the same organization. That prophet is just a symbol. Humans yearn for tangible forms. The Ordnung Spear is an alliance of incarnated people who can become regular citizens. Some went too far because this is another world, so they became wanted. Others found no place to go because of their attributes, so chaos would prevail in this world. So we gathered these troublemakers and formed an organization to maintain the order and balance of this world as rulers of the underworld. I wouldn't choose a silly name like Ordnung Spear. I was bored, so I lent a hand, more like a consultant or a personal bodyguard. I get rid of those who go too far, like Kajita. So, you must join our organization. You are one of us. The extra points made you a great king. It must be one of those three basic desires. I am alone, I surpass everyone, and they leave in the blink of an eye. But since you are a great king, since you sacrificed something, as I did, you must understand how I feel. So I want you to become my friend. Shigeru thinks to himself, she's not trustworthy, but she might be a deterrent to the crazy organization. Shigeru then says to the girl, what's in it for me to be your friend? But I won't join the organization. I guide them in this world. That's my role as a great king. Why don't you join us? The girl becomes very happy and says, our relationship might start as friends, but in the end, if I join your team, I will become a hindrance to you. That's how things go. I will hinder you. Kahita wakes up, angry at the girl. He says to her, you lied to me. I heard everything you said. She tells him that she has suffered for many days and couldn't sleep while searching for a king. Kahita becomes furious, saying, you lied to me and your lies will lead to destruction. I will take the powers you possess from you. Kahita attacks her, but nothing happens to her. She cuts his hands and his mask falls off his face. She says, I didn't put on makeup today. This is the worst situation. I'll go home. She then leaves the pit and says goodbye to Shigeru, telling him her name is Karina. This is how today's anime episode ends. Wait for us in the next episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Our episode today begins with the legendary hero Shigaru. He uses incredibly destructive powers that demolish the entire place after he has eliminated that cursed man, the killer of the wealthy. After that, the scene shifts to Seiji, who tells them, "Well done on the secret investigation. Let's celebrate this great victory with everyone." They drink mango juice and eat, and for your information, my friends, a whole week has passed since they raided the killer casino, or that man, the killer of the wealthy. Things have finally calmed down. Everyone is happy. They earned a lot of money as a reward for the last mission. See how much money they have in front of them? What would you do with that money if you were in their place? They remember when the director wanted to reward them, but Siji said to him, "How can we take this money, Mr. Director? We did this mission not just for the money, but to cleanse the country of these rotten and dirty people. We did it for God, and we don't want anything from anyone." So Shigeru takes him aside and says, "What's this? We want this money. And besides, if you don't take it and you refuse, the director will be very angry and we can't handle the director's anger. And besides, this is legal compensation. As for the original recipients, they are the hero Din and 2 other people, but their location is unknown. So half of the reward was paid to us as the concerned party." Siji then talks to Shigeru and says, "This Kajita, his donation was so ironic after he got caught in the collapse of the castle he built himself. Everyone now knows that the castle collapsed naturally, but I will tell you the behind-the-scenes story. It was Shigeru who did it. He made it look like he died in an accident from the collapse, but you know who delivered the final blow. Yes, my friends, it was that girl, Karina." But Shigeru didn't talk about this matter. After that, Sika comes to him and says, "Since we got a lot of money, why don't we play together?" The money is 400,000 euros, while Sika won 1 million from the casino alone and became a very famous person. But Siji tells her, "Be careful, you have to save the money and not be extravagant, because the wasteful are brothers of the devils." In other words, if you want something, get it, but if you don't buy it. She said to him, "Look, I'll do something nice. We'll split this money between the 4 of us." What a nice thing to do. Shigeru thinks to himself, "Money changes a lot of people, but not these people. They are very kind, and I have never seen anyone like them in my life." In the morning, Shigeru talks to Siji, and it seems he told him something about the organization Arnog Spear, and that Keigita was one of the members of that organization, it seems. It's an alliance of reincarnated people who couldn't be normal citizens. It is supposed to rule the underworld to maintain order in this world, but it seems they don't value people's lives at all. Since you want to become a hero, I am sure they will obstruct our path, so I wanted to tell you now. Then he pulls out this black flag and tells him that this flag was attached to the spear they consider a symbol of their organization. If someone who knows the organization sees it, it will have a great impact. At that moment, that person called Kato enters. It seems the police have finally finished their investigation with him. They said to him, "Tell us what you want." Kato said to them, "Do you remember the second client you rescued from the casino Colosseum? Yes, that huge man who had a cigarette in his mouth? He's now looking for a bodyguard to accompany him back to his hometown. He's the president of a company from the town of Cezanne, and he produces and sells weapons, so he's a very rich arms dealer." At this point, Shigeru and Siji didn't think twice and said, "Okay, we'll accept his request." He said, "Perfect." He opened his book and told them his name is Sakurai Heizo-sama. Shigeru remembers the name well and says, "That's my former boss. I hope he doesn't find out who I am. God help me." Then they meet him outside and he greets them, but he acts strangely with the girls. Then we see Shigeru, who is very angry, and his face has turned red, as you can see. Then everyone sets off in that carriage, while we see that girl who killed the man who killed the wealthy, but we don't know who this woman is yet. The group arrives in the city of Cezanne at night, where Sakari gives them a warm welcome. He thanks them for saving him by preparing a delicious meal. The girls are thrilled because the food looks so appetizing. Shigeru thinks to himself that Sakari used to follow a strict diet to monitor his uric acid levels. However, he stopped doing so because his assistant Matsuzaka uses her power to cure his high uric acid levels. Everyone enjoys their meal happily because it is so luxurious. Sakari tells them that if they came to work for him, they could eat like this every day. He then asks Siji where the black flag came from, but Siji doesn't know. Shigeru feels annoyed because he told Riez about the organization but hasn't told Sika yet. Sakuri continues by saying that if Siji wants to visit his company, he can do so tomorrow. Sika doesn't understand anything they're saying and asks Shigeru what's happening. Shigeru tells her that he is setting up a date for a study tour. While sleeping, the girls go to their room and find it beautiful and full of dresses. they can try on all of them. The weapon factory. The next morning, they go to Sakuri's weapon company. The man who greets them, Suzuki, tells them he will be their guide. He takes them inside the company to show them how they manually make their products with the help of their craftsmen. They have achieved a competitive price by producing them in large quantities. Everyone is enjoying their time at the company, especially Sika and her friend. Sika says to Seiji and Shigaru that the worker is smoothing the rough edges. After that, Suzuki shows them his tools, including a very sharp knife that can slice tomatoes with great ease. Sika asks him to give her one of these knives because she wants to see more. Suzuki tells her there is another offer at the direct sales counter. Sika and her friend run to see this offer. Afterwards, Seiji talks to Suzuki and tells him that he asked President Sakura about the source of the flag. They are still searching for it and had hoped he would recognize it through his knowledge of weapons. Suzuki says he doesn't remember seeing this, but he saw something similar. He tells them that they also take custom orders, and once a customer requested 1,000 spears. He was wearing a black cloak with golden edges, similar to this cloth, but the client disappeared after his order was delivered. They went to his house and found it empty, and the neighbors told them that the house was uninhabited. It was just a strange business transaction. Shigaru asks him if he has heard the name Ardenog spear. Suzuki is surprised, saying this is the first time he's heard this name. He then asks if it's a legendary weapon. At that moment, Riez arrives, very fast, to tell them they have a problem with Sika. When they all go to her, they find her slicing tomatoes very easily. Suzuki tells her that she is very talented at this and asks her if she wants to work with them. A new vision. That night, Seiji and Shigaru return. Shigaru says that the power of the factory was exciting, especially since the legendary sniper Molokia loved it because his friends from his country betrayed him, yet he fought 1,000,000 enemies and disappeared. Seiji asks him why he was carrying a sword when he was a sniper. Seiji then says that he wants to start a company first. Owning millions of rira is a financial problem, but there are definitely banking institutions. However, given the public safety in this world, there is a lot to worry about. Shigaru understands his words, but hasn't thought about it because he's broke. Seiji continues talking about Ardenog spear. It may take some time to uncover the secrets of this organization. This is why he changed his way of thinking to be a counterforce to them. So why don't they establish a reserve group for people on the edge? Shigaru can't believe his words. Will he do all this with the company? Seiji answers that he will hire people who do not want to be enemies before they join the wrong side and ensure they are on their side. They level a huge peak on the horizon and ensure that they are on their side. Shigaru disagrees with his words, telling him that the danger is very high, unlike in the real world where there are things like private notes. They don't know what kind of lunatics are in this world. Seiji tells him that he wanted to create a company to exploit the private notes. He believes he understands the danger of private notes. It is impossible to modify their content and no one can resist their power. He wanted to save others from curses and discover ways to use private notes for their benefit and become friends. Shigaru still doesn't agree with him. Seiji asks him to give him a reason for his refusal. Shigaru tells him that the problem lies in his private notes. What if there was a rebellion among the employees? As soon as they become his friends, he won't be able to abandon them. Seiji asks him about the business, and Shigaru replies that he has been thinking about it for a while. He believes he must become a king. In an engaging turn of events, Shigaru suggests to Seiji, "I think you should become a king." He continues, "I was once the president of a publicly traded company. I don't think it's impossible. First, you need to gather trustworthy people you can place your confidence in. You can leave the management of citizens to them and observe everything from above. In this structure, your special note won't restrict you." Seiji replies, "I understand what you mean. I need to run a company this way and hire a president who will then hire employees with high standards." He thanks Shigaru, saying, "I'm so glad I consulted with you." Shigaru is astonished, thinking to himself, "I remember he listed his previous company on the stock market. Since he understood what I said in a way I didn't expect, starting a company might not be a bad idea." Seiji then continues his conversation with Shigaru, stating he wants him to be one of the founding members of the company. "You are close to me, and I can place my trust in you. You are the right person." Shigaru tells him, "I'm not the type who should be in an organization like a company. My special note makes money disappear if I touch it. To be precise, my income is 1/10,000. No matter how much money we earn, it will instantly go to waste if I touch it. My presence in your company is dangerous. You must have realized that to some extent, even in the first shack. I don't want everyone to become homeless, so I'm sorry, but I refuse." Seiji asks him, "Why didn't you try to get rid of our money with your special note?" Shigaru replies, "Because there was no reason for me to do so." Seiji interrupts him, saying, But there are people in the world who would do such a thing, like people who use their notes to make others even worse off than they are. But you didn't do that. Your very existence is proof that no matter what your special note is, people can maintain their dignity. I beg you, lend me a hand." After Siji's compelling words, Shigaru agrees, saying, "I can't refuse. You'd better make it a great company, my leader." The founding of a company. Siji then talks to his friends, announcing that he will open a company to be a haven for outcasts due to their special notes. As I said before, its goal is also to resist the dangerous organization. "I don't want to force you." Sika says, "I am a member of this team. Let me join you. I am aware that it will be a dangerous mission." The two of them join him, and Siji is very happy and thanks them. Sika asks him for the company's name. He tells her the Fiery Passion Company, Burning Flare Humans. He asks them about the name, but they all reject the strange name. The scene then shifts to the Emirate of Valeria. Siji addresses them. "Thanks to all of you, we are finally celebrating the founding of our company today. This is the president of this company. His name is Kai. He provided us with information about the casino." Kai states that he was working at the casino at Siji's request. "I claimed I hired him at the casino and worked undercover." "I can't believe you survived, Kahita. Who can detect lies? Not standing out is my specialty. Maybe you are a true genius." Siji says, "I will leave the management of the company to Kai. That will give me the freedom to do what I need to do." Then Kato also comes and becomes part of the company, saying, "It's nice to see you all again." Siji says, "Finally, everyone is gathered." He then reintroduces himself as the chairman of the board of directors, Vice Bridge. The overview of this company is to hire workers and benefit them. "Our goal is to provide legal ways to earn a living for people who suffer from their special notes." The name Vice Bridge combines visible light and bridge. The name represents our link in becoming a bridge to the light. And there is another goal, a secret mission for the people who are here only. It's the information gathered about Ardanog Spear, the organization that holds this emblem. Shigaru thinks to himself, "He told the team about the organization, but I didn't mention anything about Princess Karina. I will train Sika, and Siji will check the applications of the applicants." Riez then uses her ability to read their windows to check the background of the applicants. In the city, they found no information about Ardanog. The work is going the right way. Then this man comes, crying a lot, saying, "I wrote that I don't need money in my special note. I was sick and tired of the family dispute over the inheritance." Sika says to him, "Wouldn't that be irrelevant if it weren't money? We can pay you with luggage and goods. Our company exists to suit your special notes." The man thanks her a lot, and she tells him to hand over the entry form to the reception desk. Shigaru thinks to himself, she used to cry about trivial things, but she has become a reliable girl. After that, this girl intervenes, but Shigaru is scared and nervous, saying, "Regardless of the severe harm I will receive if I touch her, I have a very bad feeling." That thus ends today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the next episodes. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. The anime episode kicks off at Shigaru and Seika's brand new company. Their very first employee, a young woman named Lia, arrives. As she enters the room, she's utterly shocked by Shigaru's imposing figure, mistaking him for a monster. He grumbles indignantly that he is no such thing. Seika quickly interjects, explaining that Shigaru is actually their company's good luck charm, which earns her a grateful nod from Shigaru. Lia then settles down for her interview. She explains that she'd heard this company offers jobs that perfectly match an individual's skills and wonders if they have a suitable position for her. Seika assures her they have all sorts of roles, instructing Lia to fill out an application form detailing her level, skills, and even her private notes. Lia is puzzled by the private notes request, so Seika clarifies that a summary is sufficient. Their mission, she explains, is to overcome the barriers of these private notes. Seika recounts a past experience where she encountered a woman whose private notes severely limited her, yet Seika managed to help her overcome it. She firmly believes that everyone should be able to live their life as they wish, unburdened by their private notes. Shigaru is impressed, noting how strong Seika has become. Meanwhile, we see Teiji with an employee and Kato. Kato hands Teiji a list of wanted criminals with bounties on their heads. Thanks to the casino case, their company has established a connection with the government office, so Kato gathered this information, believing it might help in the search for Ordnungsperr. Teiji cautions them to be extremely careful when dealing with these criminals. We return to Shigaru and Seika. Lia is diligently writing down her private notes as Seika instructed, and then hands over the paper. Seika thanks her, and Lia, intrigued, asks Seika for her name. Seika tells her. Lia then requests to hold Seika's hands, and after a moment, declares that Seika is hiding a big secret. Seika is startled, but Leah quickly explains it's just a joke, a trick used by fortune teller. She apologizes for startling her. Seika, unfamiliar with the term fortune teller, asks for clarification. Leah explains that it's about reading people's minds by asking questions that apply to anyone, since everyone hides a secret. Seika admits it made her heart race. Leah then reveals that her mentor was actually a former salesman at a trading company that sold ordinary office supplies. At the time, Leah describes herself as having a dull appearance and poor communication skills, but she was always called the night butterfly because she worked at night. She then introduces them to her mentor, referring to him as Mr. Y. Shigeru seems a little flustered. Mr. Y, Leah explains, was very peculiar. He would entertain his boss, guests, and even them, the girls. One day, he brought new company employees to familiarize them with various places in their field of work. He even swapped roles with the new employees and began teaching them marketing and sales techniques, along with other things like fortune telling, psychological tests, and conversational tricks for building relationships. Mr. Y gave Leah an introductory book on fortune telling, which she studied diligently, hoping to become a brilliant conversationalist like her mentor. She then tells them that after that, she seriously pursued fortune telling and earned the title of fortune teller, all thanks to her mentor's words. Seika is deeply impressed. Later that night, we see Shigoro and Reizo. Reizo informs him that she's almost finished checking the backgrounds of the applicants. Shigoro replies that working at this company feels very strange. He never expected to be a company employee again. He reminds Reizo that she previously mentioned she was looking for him in the previous world and asks if she knows what happened to him. Reizo pauses, then says what happened was a vain illusion for him. She discovered the truth while searching for him, meticulously gathering everything from news articles to internet information and even court records of similar cases. She found that in several instances, the suspects had evidence of their innocence, and she also saw that the victim had made several false accusations of harassment. Reizo firmly trusts him. Shigeru thanks her. Reizo then tells him they must continue checking backgrounds, and now it's Leah's turn. Shigeru wonders what Leah is doing in a place like this, given his search skills. The scene shifts to Leah, who is comforting a small girl in a dark place, asking what she's doing there and if she borrowed money from someone. She then asks about the scary man who lives there. The girl, crying, explains that her little brother is sick and she couldn't afford medicine, so she borrowed just 100 Leah, but the amount accumulated to 10,000. Leah understands that the girl couldn't repay the amount, which is why the man sold her. Just then the man arrives, introducing himself as Kaido. Leah recognizes him, saying she hasn't seen him in a long time. Kaido becomes angry and asks if she's interfering with his clients again. At this moment, Shigeru reveals that this man is Ordnung Speer, the wanted criminal they saw on the list at the company. The little girl then pleads with Kaido to waive the interest and promises to pay him back the 100 lira. Kaido warns her not to underestimate adults. Shigeru then asks Reizo to quickly read Kaido's file. Reizo informs him that his name is Kaido Kenji, level 181. His private notes state that money is more important than life to him, and he will make anyone who tries to take his money suffer. Leah then addresses Kaido. I want you to sell me this girl. Isn't it safer to sell her and get rid of her? Kaido retorts, you're exploiting my weakness. Leah then takes the girl, declaring, you are mine now. Leah then activates a charm on the girl, stating, this will protect you from harm anywhere. Your life is mine. I'll do with it as I please. Now go home. Shigeru then instructs Reizo to follow the little girl. Leah then speaks to Kaido again. There's another child who needs to pay. I want that one too. Kaido laughs sarcastically. You're truly hideous. Unfortunately, that child died. He went on a purified adventure for a big reward. I appreciate the money I lent, but more importantly, why don't you join our organization? Leah replies, do you mean Ordnung Speer? I'm not interested in cozying up to you. She bids them farewell, remarking that the night breeze is bad for her skin, and departs. The scene then shifts to Leah crying profusely, saying, I couldn't save you. We then see Reizo talking to Shigeru, saying, I took that girl to the company. She's drinking a warm beverage with her little brother. Kato will take them home. Shigeru thanks her, saying, do your private notes react to evil? What's her reaction now? She seems truly evil, at least. The next morning, the townspeople are celebrating happily. Shigeru mentions that it's a holiday, and he and Seika went to a carnival in the city. Seika is thrilled by everything. When the townspeople see Shigeru, they are very afraid of him because of his large size, but he's happy with this appearance because it clears his path. He muses to himself that Leah's matter worries him, but he's delighted that Seika Seika seemed so happy. Seika then plays some games, with Shigaru helping her. Then a girl arrives and wins the game. When Shigaru sees her, he's very scared because it's Princess Karina. Karina talks to Seika and gives her the doll, asking to be friends, and if Seika has any friends. Seika tells her she has a friend named Leah. Before we're friends, tell me your name, Seika asks. Karina tells her name, saying, I'll give you something better than this if you become my friend. They all then go to watch the parade and are very impressed. Seika exclaims, I love flashy things. Shigaru says to himself, I see no difference between this and the Nebuta festival. Karina then asks Seika, what kind of king do you like? Seika is surprised, never having considered it before. Karina tells her that a great king is a person embodied who has given up one of 3 desires. He is a man who has given up sexual desire. Shikaru becomes worried about Karina and Seika asks him if he's okay. He assures her he's fine. Karina then asks him, what are you trying to do? Karina replies, I will hinder your path, but the gap between your qualities and mine is too great, so I will tell you my weakness to balance things out. Seika is naive and innocent as an unused white handkerchief. I am the opposite. No doubt she has not faced difficulties before, whether it's losing something beautiful or feeling unbearable anger. Essentially, if there is someone dear to Seika, you mentioned earlier that girl left, will Seika hate me? Even though she is innocent, when a white cloth gets stained to the point of losing its character, can you continue to play the role of the king who guides Seika? Shigaru tells her, if this is an unnecessary matter, even if you surpass me, I will kill you. But Seika arrives and Karina disappears without a trace. Afterward, we see the girl and her brother. She tells him, you took care of us last night, so we'll repay the favor as much as we can. We see them gathered in this place and Leah enters. Seika tells her, we're having a meeting. I'd like you to wait a moment. But Leah refuses, saying, I want to withdraw my application. I'm not suitable for this company. I will tell you why. We then see Leah recounting her story with deep sadness and tears. Mr. Y, she explains, was falsely accused of a crime. She discovered this after everything was over. Mr. Y lost his position and honor, disappearing into despair because of the case. But the culprit was overly protected. Could I accept that, she asks. So, she finally discovered the real culprit and committed an act with a knife she possessed. An act she couldn't undo. I wanted to end my life after committing it, and I left my last words on the blue screen. I will not exert myself in vain. I am an evil witch who will seduce fools while acting with elegance. If there is a king who sympathizes with me, I beg you to help me. Perhaps you can disguise yourself as a princess. Leah then apologizes, saying, these are my private notes. I committed an unforgivable crime, so in this world, I want to atone for my sin as much as possible. This is what I wished for, but I couldn't save anyone. Seika stops her and says, I grew up knowing nothing about society, but I learned that there are different values after arriving here. Even if something seems wrong from my perspective, it might be right for someone else, and vice versa. That's not the point. What is right and what is wrong? I don't know the answer. She then tells Leah that she is a brave woman for defending someone else. She asks Leah if they can be friends, and Leah agrees. The scene then shifts to Seiji, who asks about Leah. Kato says, my impression of her is that despite her harsh words, she isn't overbearing. She seems sincere. The employee says she would be a good addition in terms of level too, but Reizo's report says otherwise. Reizo replies, that's right. What's concerning is her connection to Ordnung Speer, and it seems her goal is to rescue slaves. He tells her that she mentioned Leah was crying because she couldn't save an enslaved child. No doubt those were tears of sorrow, tears shed for someone else, not for herself. I will believe her tears. He then says, let's welcome Leah to our company. Leah is delighted by his words. Then a child enters crying, asking for the help to save his sister. And that's how today's episode ends. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all new updates. A desperate plea to save a kidnapped child spirals into a deadly trap. A vengeful woman from the past has returned, but her true target isn't who they think. Get ready for a shocking revelation that will shatter everything they know about a past tragedy. The episode begins with Shigeru, Seika, and Leah when a small boy rushes in, telling them his sister has been kidnapped by a man with a scar on his face. Leah tries to calm him down and shows him a drawing to identify the scarred man. The boy confirms it's him, then bursts into tears, begging them to save his sister. After a moment of thought, thought, Shigeru asks Leia what she's planning, telling her he'll gather people from the company and that she shouldn't be reckless. She agrees that he's right, but insists this is something she must handle herself. Then, she suddenly vanishes before their eyes, leaving everyone stunned. Just then, Seiji and Rizo enter. Shigeru informs them that Leia has gone to save a girl from a wanted criminal and that he's going after her. As Shigeru and Rizo leave the company to follow, they fall into a pit where they are met by Karina. She mocks Shigeru, telling him she will stain her white handkerchief as she promised and that she will take both Seika and Leia away from him. She declares he won't interfere in the shared past between her and Leia before throwing them out of her car. Afterwards, Rizo asks Shigeru who that woman was. He explains that there are other rulers in Ordon Sphere like Karina. Rizo corrects him, revealing that her name isn't Karina but Shiratori Riko, the twin sister of Shiratori Kyoko, the woman who had falsely accused him. Back with Seika and Seiji, Seika asks Kato if they have any information on the wanted man Leia went after. He confirms the man's name is Kaido and that he is also a member of Ordnung Sphere. Determined not to abandon a friend and colleague, Seika decides to go after Leia. Seiji agrees to go with her, asking Kato to look after the little boy. Meanwhile, Shigeru and Rizo piece everything together. Understanding that Leia supposedly killed Kyoko in the previous world, Shigeru doesn't know what Karina will do, but decides they must head to Kaido's location, where Leia is headed, suspecting Karina orchestrated the entire situation. The scene shifts to Leia arriving at Kaido's headquarters. Kaido welcomes her and she asks why he broke his promise after she retrieved the girl for him. He apologizes, explaining he received a better offer he couldn't resist, but says he might reconsider if she makes another offer. Suddenly, a portal opens in the sky and Karina emerges, tossing money to Kaido. She berates him, telling him she no longer has any use for him and to get out of her sight. As Kaido and his men leave, Karina turns to Leia, telling her it's her lucky day as she will have the honor of dying by her hand. Leia asks why, stating she doesn't even know who Karina is. Karina replies that while Leia may not know Karina, she knows Leia very well. Uninterested, Leia tells the little girl to run as her brother is waiting for her at the Vice Bridge Company. As the girl flees, Karina mocks Leia, then mentions Seika's name. Leia is surprised she knows Seika, and Karina confirms she plans to kill her too. Elsewhere, Kaido asks one of his men if he's sure Kajita was killed. The guard confirms it was officially declared an accidental fall. Kaido doesn't buy it, knowing no one could kill Kajita except that woman. He wonders why Kajita was killed, but suspects they might face the same fate since Karina didn't pay them the full amount. The conversation between Karina and Leia continues. Karina says that if she kills Leia, Seika will cry, which will defile her spirit. Leia grows angry at this twisted manipulation. Karina reveals there's another reason she's targeting her and asks if she remembers Shiratori Koko. Leia is shocked, suspecting this might be Kyoko. As Karina prepares to strike, Kaido and his men return and attack her, knocking her to the ground. Kaido tells her he knows she disposed of Kajita amidst the chaos of the casino incident. Suddenly, Leia vanishes. Kaido and his men worry, knowing that if she calls for reinforcements, their situation will worsen, as her ability shouldn't allow her to teleport far. Kaido tells Karina he'll kill her too after he finds Leia, as proving he has the power to kill a great ruler like her will earn him more money, the entire point of Ordnung Sphere. He tells her she has only herself to blame for not paying him in full. The scene shifts to Leia, where Sage, transformed into Alden, appears with Seika to protect her. Seika tells Leia she can trust him. Leia, however, worries that even a hero might be no match for that woman and urges Seika to flee, as she is the true target. Seika reassures her, saying, "Don't worry about me. I don't know what's going on, but I promised myself I wouldn't cry anymore when a friend is in trouble. I want to help." Finally, Shigeru appears, but his form has changed, surprising everyone. He looks at his reflection, surprised, but recognizes himself by his beauty mark. Leia tearfully remarks, "You could pass for a prince." Shigeru thinks to himself, "So that's your special observation. It's all about appearances in the end." Seika asks the demoness who this is, but she doesn't know, only that he's on their side. Shigeru introduces himself, "I am the transient Moonlight, say." Just then, Kaido and his team find Leia. One of his men recognizes them as the ones who broke into Kajita's casino. Kaido angrily shouts, "We can't do business in this city anymore because of them. Get them now!" Shigure tells Alden, "The Ordnung are my enemies too. fight with me. They all charge into battle. Alden blocks a blow from a man who remarks, "This guy isn't strong at all. His good looks are all he's got." Shigeru thinks, "Usually, one hit is enough. My stats must have dropped along with my appearance." Kaido orders his men, "It's an all-out battle. Separate them and go for the women first. It's 3 against 1. But be careful. Ambush them from behind." At that moment, Karina, disguised as a bird, appears. She places her hands on Kaido's face and he falls to the ground. "Because of your special observation, you ignore the prince's words. You've lost all your senses. I bet you can't even hear me," she says. Kaido's men panic and offer to do whatever she wants. She mockingly tells them to dance for her like they're in a parade, then uses her power to electrocute them all, while simultaneously creating a protective barrier around Leia, Seika, and Shigeru, amazing everyone with her power. The demoness speculates, "I thought Kaido had sealed her power. It seems her title of princess isn't just for show. By changing her form and attributes through transformation, she can bypass Kaido's special observation." Shigeru warns them, "Stand back. This is a disaster." Those people from the organization angered Karina. Karina then uses her magic again, killing all the men. Afterward, Karina speaks to Shigeru. "I didn't know you were so handsome in real life. That's a shame, but you tricked me. You must have been laughing at me this whole time." She continues, "And yet you talk about guiding Seika. How disappointing. You knew I was Kyoko's sister." "I knew," he replies. "I knew Leia killed Kyoko and that you would target Leia for revenge." Karina laughs. "Actually, I'm grateful to her. Kyoko didn't die. Leia couldn't kill Kyoko. She tried, but she spared her in the end. Kyoko is still alive, continuing to torture me. I hate her because she took something precious from me. All she can do is kill, destroy, lie, steal, cheat, and trample on people's souls. She is the real demon. Kyoko has been a monster since childhood, abused and ostracized by our family. She faked kindness while constantly tormenting others. Everyone directed their anger at me because I look like her. But I finally found someone who understood me and would guide me, but Kyoko took that from me too. I had one friend, a doll named Karina. What happened to Kyoko was her punishment. It was finally over, or so I thought. But she survived. I have to kill her for her own good, or she will ruin everything. But I couldn't do it myself. Then I found that page on her phone. During those painful nights, I tried to find someone to guide me. I desperately tried to find a ruler. I will never love again. I will never lose anyone again. If that happens, I will kiss that person, turn to foam, and disappear. I am not Riko, nor Kyoko. I am Karina. Then I finally met you, Shigeru. You are a great ruler like me. I knew you would understand what I was going through, and that you would eventually become my guiding ruler." The scene then shifts to Seika asking Leia if she is okay. Leia replies, "Yes, but..." Seika says, "Let me use a healing spell. You'll be healed in a flash." Karina appears, and Seika tells her, "Stop hurting my friend, please." Karina replies, "Get out of my way. You should just sit there and watch Leia die. Now move." Seika says, "I won't." Karina asks, "Why do you bother protecting her?" Seika replies, "Because she's like me. She's a friend who wants to protect her friends, just like I do." Karina says, "I don't understand, but I guess you two have a strong bond. But the stronger the bond, the more I want to break it." Seika uses her power to protect Leia, surprising Leia with her strength. Seika explains that it is the power of her special observation and tells her not to tell anyone about it. Karina uses her power and says, "I will teach you what happens to those who defy rulers." They both use their powers, and Karina is surprised by Seika's strength, saying, "I thought you were just a spoiled girl. But you can't hold out. Your magical defense seems strong, but what about physical attacks?" Seika tries to talk to her about many things and asks her to be her friend. Karina replies, "It's impossible for a ruler to be friends with a human," and attacks her, saying, "A woman like you infuriates me," and asks, "Why are you so kind?" Leia comes to her and asks her to stop. Alden appears with all his might and attacks Karina, who falls to the ground. Seika is surprised to see Alden and the demon girl. Karina gets up and says to Alden, "Does this appearance of yours suggest that you are a hero and a demon?" Alden tells her, "Seika and Leia are my friends. I won't even let rulers harm them while I'm here. They shouldn't be subjected to unnecessary harm." The demoness then says, "Considering you a ruler, my demonic form is proof that you are the true evil." Karina says to them, "It's okay. I'll play with you before I play with Seika." Alden and the demoness attack her, but Karina blocks their attack and uses her power to attack them, and they both fall fall to the ground. Karina rejoices at her attack on them and tells them that they look good, but she thinks she likes flashy things. For example, like a pomegranate. Why don't you two explode and stain the place with blood? And so ends today's episode. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. The anime episode begins with Shigeru and his friends, who were being overwhelmed by Karina's attacks on Earth. She was hitting them with very powerful blows. At this moment, Shigeru says he can't do anything else. He has completely exhausted his power. Karina calls out to him and demands that he listen to her carefully. She knows he is called the hero of justice, so she wants him to tell her something. She asks him, "What is justice in your eyes?" Those people insulted her and threw things at her, and it was very humiliating for her. If that is justice, then it is very bad and painful. It was hard on her, but she endured it. Isn't it natural to want revenge on them? Shigeru answers her that he understands why her chest is filled with anger, yet she doesn't need to bear it alone. He can vent her anger onto himself. She retorts that he could never handle her anger, but he tells her that this is the justice he believes in. Karina screams at him, telling him that the weak have no right to speak of justice. She then stabs him in the arm and tells him he will definitely fall. Shigeru says to her that if he were to fall here easily, it would mean he has betrayed his friends, and he will never betray them. He will pay the price behind this promise. This is what he swore. Karina hits him with a powerful blow. He was about to fall to the ground, but Rizo catches him. She tells him that when she came here, after her long confession and her special observation, she wished for them all to meet here. She will never allow anyone to ruin that, and she is very happy to see him again. Karina is annoyed by their conversation, and then uses lightning spells to attack them. Shigeru falls to the ground. He can't protect anyone. Sika approaches him and tells him that if her friend is severely hurt, she wants to become an angel to heal him and restore what he's missing. This is her wish. She remembers when she was in her previous world. She was hit by a car and taken to the hospital for treatment. Afterward, she ended up in a wheelchair. When a passerby brought her home, she sat for a little while and then went out to the streets to wander. A group of children gathered around her and made fun of her, telling her she was a zombie and would turn anyone she bit into a zombie. Sika tried to tell them she wasn't a zombie, but they didn't believe her and kept mocking her. At that moment, Shigeru was passing by. He stopped them from what they were doing. The children mocked him too, telling him he was ugly. He replied that he knew he was indeed ugly, but his hair had thinned out a while ago. The children got scared of him and ran away. After that, he talked to Sika to check on her and told her he could help her if she wanted. She told him she wanted to go back home, so Shigeru took her home. He called her the beautiful miss. She told him sadly that she wasn't beautiful. She looked like a monster under the bandages. Shigeru answered that she was very beautiful. She didn't mock his face or his hair, even though he was very ugly. And she didn't speak ill of those boys either. Therefore, she was very beautiful. Even though she had the right to hate them and hold a grudge, she shouldn't blame others no matter how difficult her situation became. He then gave her a paper that he folded into a beautiful bird. He asked her to read what was on the paper if she lost her way again. It was a talisman for her protection. Sika thanked him for it, then returned home and opened the paper. She found that he had written for her, "If you want to be free, you must learn many things. It doesn't have to be academic study. You must discover what you love and follow that path. I am sure that those who care about you will offer you a helping hand, and you must accept their help and find your freedom." He also told her he hoped to meet her again one day to lend her a hand on her journey and promised to put a smile on her face again. Sika cried a lot over her situation. The next morning, she woke up energetic and began working and studying to the best of her ability. One day, the police came to her and told her they hadn't found any useful information yet about what happened to her uncle, but people from the institution would come to talk to her next week. Sika kept wondering where her uncle had disappeared to. She didn't know what to do after passing the exam and getting a high school competency certificate. After that, Sika doesn't know what happened to her. She suddenly found herself trying out the method that spread online. But the wind traveler who came to her was right. She found people who offered her a helping hand in the place she went to, and she finally found her freedom. Because of that, I wanted to return the favor. I wanted to help others. After that, we see Shigeru speaking from under the rock, remembering his name. He admits, as everyone admits, "My ugliness appeared on my face. This ugly face is my pride. I am the ugly legendary fighter." So, Shigeru returns to his true face. Shigeru continues his fight with Karina and reassures his friends not to worry about him. He will carry everyone's wishes and deliver them. Then he goes to Karina, who welcomes him saying, "This appearance suits you more than than I expected. You're still trying to protect everyone at this late stage? He tells her, I will play my role as a great king, just like you. Then they charge at each other with immense force and fight fiercely. Shigeru then says to himself, I gained power without a goal, while I had a deceptive sense of self-worth. Certain people drifted away from me. Then Karina comes to him and attacks, but Shigeru blocks her strikes, saying to her, you and I are unique. We don't deserve to possess this power. Our second chance at life, shouldn't we look at ourselves carefully and start over again? He calls her by the name Riko. This angers Karina, who says, don't call me by that name. He says, I can't cancel her attack. Her magical power is on a different level. The same applies to our stats. Then we see Karina pleading with Shigeru to save her and kill Kyoko, saying, I falsely accused you of harassment. Shigeru says to her, I am also a victim of Kyoko. Kyoko destroyed my life. That's why I was reincarnated and became a different person. You are still trapped by your sister's curse. Since coming here, I only know one thing. I managed to meet them. That's all, Karina says. Even after reincarnation, this is still a bad game. I no longer care. Then she uses her power and attacks him. Shigeru is astonished by the number of powerful shots fired at him. He blocks the strikes, but they have no effect, though they wound his hands and legs. He says to her, that was all I needed. It was just confirmation. I can summon stars in this space. He uses his power. Karina is surprised, saying, you intend to counter me with a meteor? But the highest skill of the final scepter can erase any matter without a trace. Unfortunately for you, I am the victor. Shigeru says, this is what I was waiting for. I will never forget that. This tremendous ability requires confirmation. What's happening is a delay. Furthermore, I will use a quadrillion points of unused additional matter to improve my agility. I will strike her during the brief delay from her blind spot. I will strike her during the brief delay from her blind spot. This is the ability of improvisation, enhanced with 100 quadrillion and 5 trillion points. Meteor crash. Karina says, farewell. Then Shigeru falls to the ground. Seiji asks him, are you okay? Shigeru replies, yes, I'm fine. Seiji says, it seems Karina has disappeared. Did you do something? Shigeru replies, I didn't do anything. Perhaps this is thanks to Sig Schneider. Sika says, what's a mysterious man? Leah says, as expected of my prince. I'm sure I'll meet him again someday. Shigeru replies, no, he won't appear again. Seiji says, I was useless in that battle. Rizo replies, me too. Sika says, me too. They feel sad. Seiji says, we must become stronger to deliver our wishes to her. They make their wish. Shigeru says, I'm sure they reached her. That's what I think. After that, we handed the organization's members over to the Valeria Principality army, and our battle ended. Our company, S's Bridge, began to thrive. We recently started putting more effort into social contributions. Our company's goal to overcome the flaws of special observations has also begun to take root. People who were suffering were able to get a real second chance at life this time. Then Karina appears and says to Shigeru, I'll make you turn your head one day. Then the scene shifts to Seiji wanting to talk to Rizo, but they are interrupted by a boy who enters and informs them that an agent is coming from Suzanne City. This agent enters, and he is a very strange person. Seiji is surprised when he sees him. Then we see Sika calling to Shigeru and asking him, do you know what this is? Yes, it's a hamburger. Shigeru replies, I've become a reliable person, but you haven't changed. Sika says, let's eat. Our lunch break is short, Shigeru says, and you're still clumsy. Sika didn't notice the wind journey. That day, I was on my way to the operations center, but midway, I was terrified by the thought of meeting other people. Shigeru went to those children to save her. The courage you showed that day was the only thing to be proud of during the days of indifference, as Rizo said. The meeting of the four of us wasn't a coincidence. I'm sure it was the result of our promises, wishes, and calls until now. Then Rizo and Seiji enter. Rizo says, there's an emergency. Seiji says, President Sakura brought us information about Ordunog's spear. They are surprised. Shigeru says, it's a matter we cannot avoid for Seiji to become king. Seiji says, let's go to the office. We must hold a planning meeting. Sika says, come on Shigeru, let's go. When she touches him, he feels as if he was electrocuted, then returns to normal. Sika asks him, what happened? He replies, never mind. A lot of troubles await us, but I promise I will make you happy. I will never let you down. And thus ends today's episode. If you liked the video, please like it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get all the new updates.